Inspired Impact TV episode. And I am really happy and excited to have you on because your story is really fascinating. I remember the first time that we spoke, we were on the phone for a long time, right? Really getting into the nitty gritty of the story. And I remember saying to you on that phone call, Laurel, like, I don't take for granted, right? And I know we have mutual friends and we have mutual introductions. And so we knew of each other, but we didn't know each other. And so I did not take for granted that you were so open with your heart and your story to me. And you said to me, you know, it's time. You said it's time that this message, that this story, right, that this concept is out into the world. It's time that I shared it. And I just went, whoa, okay, like you are ready to show up. You are ready to be visible. You are ready to really get your story out to the world. And I just thought it was really remarkable. So welcome to Inspired Impact TV. And I'm just so happy and excited to have you here today and welcome you on as one of the authors of Women Who Empower. So welcome, and will you share with us what your chapter title is?
Oh, thank you so much for having me here, Kate, and thank you so much for letting me write my story. My chapter heading is a little different, but it's If I Only Had a Brain. Yep. And you know, my story kind of took a different direction when we originally talked. Yeah. I thought, you know, I just got, you know, writer's block, I guess it was. And a friend of mine just said, you know what, just start doing something different. And as I was writing, I was weaving around. And I thought, okay, If I Only Had a Brain makes sense.
Yes. And you know what? So I love your chapter. I think that it's really incredible because it allows us to go back to your childhood and it allows us to really understand kind of where you were and how your life unfolded with certain events. And then it brings us through to, you know, this kind of major awareness in your life, which I'll let you talk about and introduce. And then what it does, and you describe this as, you know, your academic brain, right? Or your academic, you know, influence coming into the story, which was then you take me through, you know, kind of a very clear and concise process of what I can do with what you just taught me or what I can do with this information, which I love, right? Because a lot of times I'll say, oh, I'm so inspired, but now what, right? Or, oh, wow, now that makes total sense in my life. But what do I do with that information? But you, Laurel, you really walk the reader through the connection piece of the story, the lesson of what it is that we are learning about, and then also what we can do with that information. So would you tell us the main theme of your story? What are you looking to teach? You know, what is this theme and lesson that's in the story?
Lesson is actually to find a little bit of hope in our relationships. My story is the thread going through it is about double bind, and double bind is a process that it's deeper than a lot of people think it is. And what I was doing in my research is I was looking at conflict for organizational communication, and what I discovered, I got into an interpersonal, wanted to test out a theory interpersonally and look at a relationship that was going on in my family life. And I didn't know where I was going. I didn't know anything about double bind at that point, but my research guided me through this maze, if you will. And one day it just hit me what had happened. And it just brought me back to my childhood. And I knew that I had such passion about it. And it was so important to me that I decided to do my research topic on that. And it was a difficult journey because it's so difficult to understand. And
right, which is why I love how you walk us through that journey in your chapter, and something that is so deep and difficult to understand, you allow us into learning it in really such a digestible way. It's not simple, but it is digestible, which is not easy to do, Laurel. And I'm going to kind of bring you back to what you said in the beginning, which is that it's not the story that you intended to share, which a lot of people say that, right? They come in and they're like, this is the story. And then they go to write it and they're like, like, I don't feel like I can write this story, and it takes you somewhere else. So I do hear that a lot from authors. And so I'll ask you, a lot of authors share that the journey of just the writing and the unpacking of their story seems to be extremely cathartic and healing. What was your experience like as an author?
Exactly that. I mean, it was, I wasn't anticipating the emotion that I was going to go through. And it's quite scary. It really is for me, because we become really vulnerable. I had to open that up. I had to live the story, and I mean, I have lived it, but I had to go back and unearth it, just dig it up, because if I'm going to teach it to other individuals and share it with them to offer them an ounce of hope, I have to, for me as a teacher, I have to have lived it, and I did. And so this journey, apparently I needed to go back and unearth that. So it was scary, and but it's empowering at the same time. And now I feel free to express what it is that others can do to offer them the ounce of hope that I had to work through. So what
was the main inspiration behind wanting to share this story, right? I mentioned on one of our prior interviews here today that we have authors from all over the world. So when your story goes into the Inspire Impact book series, it literally travels around the globe, right? So
yes.
Why did you feel called, I guess, and I'm making an assumption there, we haven't actually discussed this. Did you feel called to share your story? And then what do you feel like that was? Why did you want to do that?
My family and I experienced a significant tragedy last year, and just the dynamic around that and the grief that I had to go through that tragedy raised the issue of double bind again. And I've been wanting to write about it for 25 years. But I just, I couldn't get over my inertia to do it, or things got in the way. This tragedy made me realize that there's so much pain and so much suffering that's going on that it needs to be told now. And the best way to do it is not in a classroom with just 30 people or 20 people. It needs to go global. And so I was getting ready to write a book, and again, COVID hit, and then all of a sudden your name appeared magically. It was like an angel dropped in on me again, and I thought, I can do a chapter, and it was harder than I thought, but such a healing, nurturing journey for me too, and working with you is just, I can't express how wonderful it is. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you. I didn't expect that. Like I said, we haven't talked about this, and it's really beautiful actually to hear your journey, because I know, through the writing process what their journey was like, but it's really neat to see how it's all come together from even before we met to today. Today you're a published author, right? I mean, how amazing. And then the work now is into the world. So what can you tell me, Laurel, that you would hope that the takeaway is from your chapter, from the book, or, tell me about someone who's watching this right now saying, I don't know, is this a book for me? I'm not really sure. What would you say the takeaway would be for that person?
For the individual, what I do in the chapter is I identify what this, a root cause of what a lot of conflict is. And it can be in a relationship, it can be in business, it can be anywhere. It's very subtle, but I give the examples. I walk people through that in my story, and I share with them what it is. And the important thing is with double bind, it takes two individuals two or more, and you can either be the binder or you can be the one that is bound. And so I share what those look like, and then give you the navigational tools to pull yourself out. So double bind really means it's a no-win situation. No matter what you choose, no matter what you do, even if you know you're right, you're going to be wrong. And so in a relationship, it's difficult to understand. And I've simplified it in such a way that I'm hoping that people can understand it and glean from it. And it's a beautiful process for healing.
Perfect. I couldn't have said it better myself. It's exactly what I was just about to ask you. It's a beautiful process for healing, and you are able to walk us through a process of how to get there.
It's three steps, and you don't have to go through all three. They're just, if one doesn't work, you go to another one, and eventually I work you out navigational tools that you can take with you everywhere.
I love that so much. How do we get into your world, Laurel? Where can we find you? I was just looking at, your bio page, and I know that Facebook is where we are now, right? Is a place that people can connect with you. But can you share with us, how do we learn more from you? Where can we find you? Laurel, can you tell us where you would guide people to go next?
Well, right now, I'm just getting back into consulting, and so I'm not set up completely to do that. So right now on Facebook here, and it's just Laurel at Laurel.Joakimides at the contact in the book, and or on email for right now, and that's also in the book. I'm happy to share it with you, but it's in the book. It's based on my last name. So
Laurel, I'm so thrilled that you're here. I'm thrilled to have you a part of this. You brought such a unique element to not only the book, but our entire series. It's such an interesting topic. We're 8 books in now, and so we really look for material that is fascinating and interesting and life-changing and shifting. And you brought all of those things to the table. So I just want to really thank you from the bottom of my heart for trusting yourself enough to share this unique topic, to start the discussion for all of us. And I really want to thank you for pushing yourself beyond limits and boundaries that you thought, even in the beginning, as you're beginning to write, you committed and you push through beautifully, right? Like, I didn't see the pushing, you felt it, I didn't see it, but it all just translated so beautifully into the pages that are here. So I really just want to thank you so much for being a part of this, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much, Kate. I just love working with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and we'll see everyone as we continue to do our lives on launch day. Thanks for being with me, Laurel. Talk with you soon. Bye.